McLeod, how you doing, my friend?
Good morning.
We should talk about Ryan McLeod out of the gates, signing the 2-year contract extension. This is, I think Oilers fans should be very happy about this.
Well, last night I did an emergency episode of my podcast to just kind of like talk about first thoughts on the signing. And while I was with you, Locke, I thought, $2.1 million for 2 years. I thought Oilers fans would be pretty happy about that. You know how it goes. There's always people who go, he's overpaid by $500,000. But like the reality is, if you looked at what the NHL was, where it was going and how some of these arbitration awards were going, there could have been a situation where Ryan McLeod signed for 2.5 or more based on on his own stats and what arbitrators have been giving out. So I think coming in at 2.1 for 2 years is a solid deal for both sides. And most importantly, they didn't have to go through the arbitration process and kind of sling mud at each other for a day. So I think this is a win all around.
Something to be said about skipping that process, right? Because it has proven in the past to be difficult on relationships between players and organizations. So the fact that they were able to avoid that is good. The other thing, and I don't know if this is being said out loud, but does this not clarify the position the team has with Evan Bouchard moving forward? Because now they know exactly what they have to work with. Doesn't that make that negotiation easier?
You would think so. So the interesting thing about the Evan Bouchard signing that's now up next on the to-do list is the Oilers have about $4.28 million in cap space as of today with the Ryan McLeod signing. So you could, in theory, sign Bouchard for that. Or if they can get him in at $3.5 million or less, that would mean that they can ice a 22-man roster in October and be cap compliant instead of a 21-man roster. So having an extra body just in case, injuries happen, somebody gets sick, somebody gets nicked up, that'd be a really nice luxury to have. So it's going to be really interesting to see what happens with Evan Bouchard, because 3.5 or less, we can have a 22-man roster. Anything above 3.5 to 4.28, then they're going to have a 21-man roster. So it's going to be an interesting couple of weeks to see how this last little piece of housekeeping goes.
And are there any veteran like PTO deals sitting out there that fill that 1 million-ish hole?
I mean, of all the years to try and PTO some guys, this one would be the one, because there's still a handful of quality players out there that just don't have deals, because a lot of teams are in the same situation that the Oilers are in with their cap space.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at a website like Cap Friendly that kind of tracks all of this stuff, you see how many teams currently, and I'm just ballparking this, about 10, 12 teams currently over the cap that need to figure it out. So there's going to be a lot of players that kind of shake loose. So if the Oilers could find a way to have Bouchard at less than 3.5 to open up some space for a cheap PTO, that'd be great, because there's going to be some good names out there.
Yeah. Any worth tossing? Or I know Taves, right?
Jonathan Taves, it doesn't seem like he's going to play.
He's out.
I'd be surprised if he does, to be honest. I would love to see it. I think it would work. I just doubt it happens. There's other guys like, just a more local guy like a Noah Gregor would be a nice depth option on the wing if they could afford it. He scored some goals in San Jose. Again, they didn't. They just kind of released him off into the wild. So there's some guys like that are just kind of floating around looking for gigs, and they'll probably sign on the cheap. So if the Oilers can do a little cap maneuvering here, there could be some opportunity there. But we'll see what happens. Again, this Bouchard thing needs to get done, and they need to figure that out sooner than later. So we'll see.
If you've been on social media at all in the last couple of days, you probably haven't missed videos and pictures of the Oilers golfing.
That's right.
Now, is it common knowledge on the worst and best golfers on this current squad for the Oilers?
I don't know that it's common knowledge, but what I did enjoy from the Zach Hyman Celebrity Classic this week was both Connor and Leon absolutely shredding Zach Hyman's golf game. Yeah. I think the quote from Connor was, and I'm paraphrasing, was like, "Listen, we don't even know why this guy puts on a golf tournament. He golfs twice a year. He sucks." So I love that. I love seeing that from those guys, and I just it was a nice little reintroduction to the boys midway through the summer, and they're raising some money for a good cause. So I love it. But who's the best? I'd love to know. Wouldn't it be fun to see who's the best golfer? And I love knowing that Zach Hyman is the worst.
I would be willing to bet that Leon is a decent golfer.
I bet he would be too. I would take that bet.
Yeah. I mean, McDavid, that's an obvious pick, but I bet you Leon's got some game.
I bet you a guy like Ryan Nugent-Hopkins is a really good golfer because, as we know, he's
a horse guy. He's a horse guy, though.
He is a horse guy, but my thought here is that he's been with the team the longest, and the Oilers have sucked for so long that he's probably got his rounds in.
That's not a bad theory as well. Who's the worst cheater on the team? Because there's always one guy. There's every foursome has a guy that's moving his ball, toe wedge.
Yeah, you know what? I don't know this, but I'm just going to take a guess anyway. You know what? I'm going to say we were talking about him. I'm going to say Evan Bouchard. He's got the look of a cheater on his face, you know?
Yeah.
He's going to be the one that kicks his ball out of the rough. He's going to be the one that moves it down. I think Evan Bouchard. If I was to pick one, he would be my pick.
I was going to go with a goalie, but Evan Bouchard, I like that as well. There he is, Baggedmilk. What do you got? Hold on.
Before we let you go, hey, Baggedmilk, are there still
sidelines?
Are there still openings for your golf tournament in September?
Thanks, Jimmy. Yeah, we the Oilers Nation Open. It's the 5th one. We're doing it out at the Millwoods Golf Club on September 1st. So that's the Friday leading into the long weekend. If you want to get your weekend started a day early, yes, there are still teams, but not many left. I think there was like 4 or 5 teams left. So you go to nationgear.ca if you want to sign up for a team of 4, or we also have an option where singles can join. One of the things that we've learned with this tournament over the last couple of years is if we just have a bunch of singles and we stick them together on a team, they end up having the best day.
Yeah.
So we always leave a couple open for those. So we've got 2 options. We've got teams of 4 and we've got singles if you want to play. Just go to nationgear.ca.
Well, and it's worth saying that you guys every year this sells out. So if you wanted to golf with these boys,
it's a great event.
Yeah, it's a great event. It's a fun one. Make sure you get in on that. All right, Baggedmilk, Oilers Nation, thank you for your time today.
Thanks, boys.
The Locker Room for Arden Roof Systems. Weekday mornings on 95.7 Cruise FM.